With the release of Season 3 in Fortnite Battle Royale comes yet another hidden victory umbrella. Now I say hidden, but in actuality, if you've been playing since day one, you know all about these umbrellas. If not, however, allow me to explain. So in Season 1, when you finally won a match in solo, duos, or squads, you were rewarded with a silver umbrella. It was nothing fancy, but it did show that you had at least one victory notched on your belt. When Season 2 came around Christmas time, they released a second victory umbrella, this time making it a bit festive with a snowflake theme. Now with Season 3 comes a unique red victory umbrella called the Paper Parasol. You'd think that this would have been a space theme to coincide with the Season 3 Battle Pass, but they opted for the Chinese New Year event instead, similar to the release of the treasure shrines around the map. And by far, this one is the coolest looking of the 3 victory umbrellas. It's a nice shade of red and it's decorated with some epic looking dragons. Deploying with this umbrella showcases its unique opening feature, which slowly unveils itself. And upon doing this, you can now fully appreciate the dragon art on the top and the bottom as you glide down to battle. So all you have to do is win a match anytime during Season 3 to earn this. If you want a challenge though, you can try your luck at solos. But if you're not very good, you may be better off partying up with better players in duos or squads. Now I need to note that the limited time only game modes do not count for these victory umbrellas. So if any of these new modes come out, don't attempt to go for the umbrella in them. Now I wanted to also showcase the victory I got to achieve the umbrella for myself. Normally when I win a solos match, I'm at about 9 kills, give or take a few. But this match, I made quite a few wrong plays, which I wanted to talk about. So first off, I land at Greasy Grove rocking the Sparkles outfit as well as the Rainbow Rider glider. And try saying that 10 times fast. There's nothing more intimidating than having your glider poop out rainbows as you descend. Now, I was actually on the phone with my wife when I landed here, and if you've ever tried to play while talking on the phone, you know how distracting it is. As such, I completely biffed the landing, and I had to weasel my way into the side entrance of this building. And as luck would have it, the building only had 1 chest in it, whereas normally it has at least 3. So I farmed myself a few materials as quick as I could, and I finally hung the phone up and was ready to play for real. I came out of this building with just a green AR and a blue SMG, and as soon as I left, I spotted a guy bunny hopping to the house directly in front of me. He made the fatal mistake of trying to bust into the house in my line of sight, and I instantly dropped him with my blue SMG. So at this point, I took the time to loot up a bit, and I managed to get 100 shield as well as some grenades, some minis, and some more materials. Now this next kill I actually felt a little bad about. I run into this guy that doesn't even know how to sprint. So when my 4-year-old son plays, he can't push the analog stick down to sprint. So all he does is kinda trot around. And that's exactly what this guy I'm about to encounter does. He was just slowly walking around, so I could tell it was a really small kid playing. Needless to say, I made quick work of him after failing a grenade attempt. Now fast forwarding a bit, I find myself a bolt sniper as well as a purple SMG. And here's my first major blunder. I see this butt-faced beaver rotating out of tilted towers and I have a perfect sniper shot on him. And I actually don't recall what I was thinking here, but I let him go directly under me. I think that I assumed I'd have a better shot when he was running away from me rather than towards. Regardless, as he dips beneath my mountain, I completely lose him. I then strafed too far to the left and I actually biffed it off the mountain myself, taking damage in the process. And at this point, he's completely vanished from my view. I know he's got to be somewhere nearby, so I head towards this shack where I saw something purple. And lo and behold, as I ramp up, he's directly in front of me. So that was such a noobish play all around there on my behalf. I should have never let him get out of my line of sight. Now here's where things take a turn for the worse and my game almost ends. I heard a few gunshots coming out of shifty shafts, so I built a little defensive structure. And the next thing I know, I have someone ramping straight up my ass and the fight ensues. I took a shotgun blast in the battle and then a hero decides to save me by eliminating my enemy. At this point, I don't have any healing items except for my minis to replenish my shield. Luckily though, the guy that died dropped a few bandages, which I quickly took to get back into the fight. At this point, however, that hero that I desperately needed turns into my worst nightmare, and he begins to push me, resulting in a fight with me low on health. Now looking back here, I should have been far more aggressive rather than defensive, but my low health was constantly on my mind. Towards the end of our battle, he gets pushed by another guy and I carefully observe from a close distance for a second before dipping out of there with my life still intact. Now at this point, there's only 6 people remaining, so I decide to take the high ground knowing that at least one survivor is going to prevail from that area I just left. At the top of the mountain is a lucky 50 pot potion, which I gladly took. And then I set up camp briefly to watch for my incoming enemy. I noticed some building far off in the distance, but I couldn't get a good angle on him due to the pine tree in the way, so I couldn't do much except for watch him cautiously push forward. The storm begins to come, so I have to retreat off my mountain with only 5 people left now. When I finally make it to the circle, one guy gets killed by the storm and I cower against a cliff due to my low health. So as it turns out, an enemy decides to build directly in front of me. Rather than push him though, I played it safe and just observed. And by far, I think this is my greatest weakness in this game. I'm always too afraid to push an enemy. More often than not, it just results in a shotgun close quarters fight where I usually die 9 times out of 10. So with me low on health, despite full shields, I thought the safer play here was just to wait it out below him and see what happened. Now eventually the storm collapsed around me and I had to move, but no one saw me in the process. So I make my way to the center of the next circle with only 2 people remaining. And again, I cower like a sissy Barbie girl. The same enemy once again remains right in front of me and begins to build up. And at this point, I didn't have any clue where the other guy was, but I was about to find out. So as I inched my way up close to this guy's fortress, he began to shoot his grenade launcher at anything and everything to try and draw me and the other guy out. So when I made it to the next circle, I bumped into something in a bush, which was the other guy camping his dick off. I quickly cold-cocked him into oblivion and I entered the boss battle. So after cowering the entire game, it was finally time to make my push. As I built myself up to his Dr. Wily's fortress, I made a near fatal mistake and walked off the top platform I made, leaving me with 10 health, nearly no materials, and him firing down on me. Now here's where the epic showdown finally begins.